Okay, guys. Sorry about that. I know I'm a couple minutes of late. That's what I am, and so I do apologize for that. I woke up a little bit late. Not that I would have been late for this, but I also wanted to eat something, and that made me a little bit late. So I do apologize. And you can hear Bugbear licking the bowl loudly. That's all right. She got it. Alrighty, so thank you for everyone who is here with me this morning, or I guess afternoon technically at this point. My name is Nick, this is Board Game Brawl, this is our weekly Q&A session where you ask me any question you like and I probably answer it, even sometimes when I shouldn't. So, I'm doing some little last minute checking here to make sure everything is kosher. But let me make sure that we have sound, audio, and vision. Everything seems okay. Our moderator, Chris, lets me know. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Occasionally, Chris will also rescue some questions that YouTube got eaten by YouTube beforehand. So thank you very much for that, Chris. All right, so we're going to go right into the questions. Well, first off, update on the channel. I didn't do a ton of stuff this week, although I did a lot of previews. It just happened. They all piled up, so I do apologize for that. A couple of them were pretty interesting, though. I think you would agree. And I have a couple of major previews coming up in the next month or two. I don't know when exactly because I'm on one of them. I'm definitely bound to secrecy, and I can't say anything until that project launches. So I don't know when exactly that's going to be because it changes all the time. But you guys will be very interested in it. You may not. I'm not saying you're going to like it or that you're going to not like it or whatever the case might be, but you'll at least be very interested in it. Okay, but that's that. And then as far as reviews go, I'll have some really cool stuff for you soon. Because my group actually met a couple times this week, and we'll meet again tonight. And so I actually have the time to play some stuff, play it enough to review it, and hopefully I'll get to that tomorrow. I do have a couple more previews I have to get done, but I will also do probably 3 or 4 reviews over the next few days, so that'll be cool. And a top 10 list, which I've been threatening to do for a while now. I got to get to that, then we'll see. What else do we need to talk about? That's about it, I think. I think we're okay. If there's any people who are upset about Brexit, this is your support group. I'm sorry, it's the best we can do. Let's get to the questions. Hold on one sec. There you go. Just want to check the audio. Thank you, Jazzy Jacks, DJ Jazzy Jacks in the Fresh Prince, because it's 2 a.m. in Australia, or it was whenever you posted that. What sort of events at a convention would make you want to go? Did your side review help the channel much at all? Well, of course, I think it did. I mean, it's when that month that posted, which was just a couple months ago. It was came out in April. I think I had one of the bigger months for subscribers and things like that. So yeah, it helps tremendously, and it's one of the few scoops I've actually been able to get on people, and I'm kind of giving up on that concept unless something radically wild happens, like what happened with the Scythe review, which was just a great confluence of Stonemeyer Games generosity and the awesome generosity and work of my fans. So unless something like that happens again, I just got scooped on 2 major things this week, and I'm just like, well, I give up. What am I supposed to do? So it is one of the rare occasions nowadays that actually happens, and so that did help a lot. And I also just had a lot of views, which always helps the channel. And let's see, I'm a little bit too high, aren't I? I mean, I'm super high. But aside from that, there we go. But yeah, it was good. And then as far as your first part of your question, or first question, what sort of events at a convention would make you want to go? It's not events. I mean, if it was just events, I'd absolutely go to, like, Gen Con, because they've got, like, the True Dungeon, which I think would be kind of neat to do at least once. I don't know if I'd do it again, though, but... Excuse me. And then, all kinds of panels and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm down with events. I don't have a problem with that. It's just... So it's not events. It's time. It's money. It's... especially with Gen Con, it's the huge unwashed masses of people. But you know what? I don't want to talk too much about that now. You'll see why in a few weeks. Do you find it odd? What was your favorite? What? I think you might have started a different question and then ended up with something else. What was your favorite Star Trek? What do you hope they change with the new series? My favorite Star Trek I'm still going to say Next Generation. I'm scared to go back and watch it, even the later seasons, to see if it held up or not. The close second would be Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine came out around the same time as Babylon 5. There's always accusations that Deep Space Nine copied Babylon 5, and I think that was the timeline if that was going to happen. But I don't know. Either way, I like them both, and I like the darkier. It sounds actually racial somehow. The darker aspects of Deep Space Nine, and the characters were really great too. So that would be my second. But I mean, Next Generation has had some wonderful episodes, so I think that edges it out. Yeah. And what I hope for the new one, I don't know. I just want it to be entertaining. I don't have high hopes. I think people put, especially with geeks with their vaunted franchises like Star Trek, have these like sky high expectations, and you need to manage them a bit and just hope for something super entertaining. I don't know. I think that because I don't think that Enterprise was very good. And I think that that's kind of like, but people seem to be split on the movies too. I don't know. I was thinking to myself as I'm talking, like, well, compare that to Star Wars, where people really enjoyed the new movie despite its faults, including myself, and maybe a lot of that had to do with the fact that the prequels were so not universally reviled. There's a lot of people who love the prequels, okay? But a lot of people who don't. And I think that when people saw the new one, they thought it was a really good course correction to just be an entertaining movie, even if it wasn't a very thoughtful movie. And maybe I'm kind of hoping for that with Star Trek, where you had a couple of really bad series like Voyager and Enterprise, and a movie series that's really split the audience in two. Maybe this will be a nice, like, release. I don't know. Discovered your channel after watching a collaboration with Rado, and now I'm hooked to keep up the great work. Thank you very much, Lindsay. I do appreciate that. That was a really fun video to do. Very long video. I think I almost killed him that night because it was like 9 p.m. where I live, and it was like 2 or 3 a.m. where he was. I think I almost killed Rado. There's your headline. Hey, Nick, what are some future improvements you're looking to make on the channel? I'm always looking for things. I want better equipment. I want more lighting. I want another camera. The technical stuff like that. I'm still artwork. I mean, I'm pretty happy with my artwork. People seem to like it too. Maybe it'll be cool to have some animation at some point, but I'm not like super down with that idea. I kind of find it irritating when I watch a video and like the first 20 seconds are animation. No matter how good it is, no matter how high quality it is, I'm just like, all right, let's get to it. That's why I like that my videos are just like, what I have, like 12 seconds of intro, and it's just me telling you what the video is, and then you see what I'm reviewing or whatever the case might be, or unboxing. So I don't know about that. Right now, I think the improvements I want to make are just trying new things. I did a video this week that was a new change of pace for me, although it was kind of a callback to older videos I'd done. So I like that. I'm just kind of looking for things like that, I think. I think that's the best. I think the best way I can improve my channel right now is by doing things that are not standard for board game media producers. I have to, because I can't scoop anyone on videos. I can't keep up with the pace of reviews that other reviewers do. I can't do these convention videos, which I don't think very many people watch anyways, to be honest. I can't do, I don't want to do interviews, anything like that. So I have to come at it from a different angle, and I think that's what I'm going to try to do moving forward. Chris asks, are you aware of the Ninja Division and 7 Seas joint venture called Shinobi 7? Shinobi 7 will focus on producing tabletop games that are based on hit anime, manga, and pop culture brands. I have not heard about that. That sounds very interesting. 7 Seas, I believe, was a manga company, right? Weren't they a manga publisher in the U.S.? That's interesting to me. I know that, no, I'm thinking of Japanime again. Yeah, I keep getting those two confused. Japanime Games has a game coming out called Manga something, or maybe it's Mangaka, which is the name of a. I'm horribly mangling the pronunciation, but it's someone who produces manga, who draws and creates it. It's called a mangaka, or something like that. Mangaka sounds awful. And they have a game where you're that, and it's like a drawing game. Yeah, I hadn't heard about that, but that's good news. I mean, Ninja Division is kind of hit and miss. I like some of their stuff, some of them I don't. Ninja Division is the parent company of Soda Pop Miniatures, if you don't know. I'm interested. I'm interested to see let me see what the licenses are. Because I'm thinking you could probably get some anime and manga licenses really easily, but they might not be shows that the general audience has heard of. Oh, here we go. I should have read further, Chris. You should be yelling at me now. Tokyo Ghoul, a deck building game. Okay, that's interesting. I've watched a little bit of that show. I don't know how that's going to work. Strike Witches, a miniatures based board game. Okay. Strike Witches is like so anime, especially in the last like 10 years, has an obsession with lollies. And if you're into anime, you know what I'm talking about. And military stuff. And Strike Witches is the combination of the two, and it left me very tepid. But Spice and Wolf, an economy-based board game. That sounds amazing. I'm actually going to look this up, and if they put out an article, I'm going to post that on Facebook. Spice and Wolf I really like. Spice and Wolf is a very cute, funny, not very exciting slice of life-ish type show. I enjoyed that quite a bit. Space Dandy. Well, Space Dandy I saw on Kickstarter, so I'm guessing that just got folded into their line. What's your favorite Legendary Marvel expansion so far? Any thoughts on the upcoming Civil War expansion? So I'll answer the second question first. I'm actually a little bit hesitant about... okay, listen. I'm going to get every single Legendary expansion that ever comes out from here on out, okay? So don't worry about that, and I'll review it. But hesitant's not the word, but I am a little leery of it because they're going for some really obscure characters, which is all they have left, to be honest. And they're putting out more and more versions of characters they've already released. And that's fine. I'm just worried that this isn't going to be as... I liked the wackiness of Secret Wars 1 and 2, so I know some people complained about that, but I enjoyed the wide variety of weird and funky stuff. I'm wondering if this one's going to be a bit too pedestrian for me. There's also been rumors that they're going to split it into 2 sets, and it's like, don't do that. But they have a new Civil War set, or new Civil War comic storyline, right? Isn't that the big summer crossover for all the Marvel books? I wish they'd kind of just do that. I want to see some new characters. But the first part is, what's your favorite Legendary Marvel expansion so far? It might still be Dark City, though, because Dark City, maybe I'm just thinking about it of, like, at the time, maybe that's where my brain is still at, because at the time, it was amazing, because we only had the Marvel Legendary base set to that point, and it was fun, and everyone liked it, but a lot of people, including myself, were kind of, like, getting wary of it, or not wary, but weary, because it was the same stuff, and the artwork wasn't very good. They just reused the same artwork over and over and over again. There wasn't a lot of variety. The game wasn't very difficult, and you just felt like you solved the game. And then Dark City came out, and it's like 4 more masterminds. A couple of them were like really difficult. Tons of new heroes. A lot of fan favorite heroes finally showed up. Just so much good stuff, and that's why I'm thinking of it. I remember it so fondly. And there was just tons of content. There was more cards in Dark City than in the base game. Now, of course, you have other big expansions like Villains, but Villains, I just didn't like the whole way that they handled that, changing all the keywords. And then the 2 Secret War sets I really enjoyed, but at that point, it just felt like piling on. So I have to say Dark City at this point. And I think I'd still recommend that even if you're coming into the game brand new, because it has so many fan favorite characters, villains and heroes. Thoughts on Brexit? Well, I mean, it's absolutely horrendous and awful. So many things about it are horrendous and awful. You can start with the fact that, I mean, it just is. It's essentially Britain cutting off its nose to spite its face, because they are part of the European. I mean, they're inextricably wound, whether they break off or not. Now they've just made things worse and horrible and horrific. And that there was some really damning posts from young people. That's the worst part, is that if you look at the vote of people who came out to vote, which was a huge amount of people, 72%, which is a freaking amazing for any kind of general election or referendum anywhere in the world. But if you look at the breakdown of the vote by demographics, young people overwhelmingly voted to stay in. And there's a very good reason for that. It's because when you have a connected series of nations where you are free to travel wherever you want, where you're free to do whatever you want with your life, and you can start a new life somewhere, and if things aren't going well for you in Britain, you can move somewhere else very easily, and everything is connected, and you can travel and get better life experience, well, that's a wonderful thing for a young person. And now that has been completely ripped away from them by a bunch of older people who are like these English nationalists who aren't going anywhere anyways. They're stuck there. They're stuck in their ways. And they just completely... They've had every type of privilege and thing handed to them. And you know, now they're ripping away the opportunities that young people have after fucking up the entire economy. Of, you know, just like... and what? Does this all sound very familiar to you, by the way? It probably should, because the same thing is going on here in the U.S. So I think the Brexit was awful. If you want more proof of that, then you should look at the people who are enjoying Brexit on our side of the pond, like Donald Trump and like every major conservative radio host. It's like, oh, this is amazing. Glenn Beck said this is Britain's Declaration of Independence. I can't make that up. It's so absurd. Okay. Mel Brooks wouldn't be able to come up with a joke as ridiculous and cheesy as that. And they just say it like they mean it. And it's just, it's awful. And we'll see if they can turn things around. Oh, boy. But if you're in Britain, I feel horrendously sad for you. Any comment on the awful 15 minutes spent by TYT on the Brexit? Well, if you're talking about yesterday's show, well, they had a commentator on there I wasn't really fond of. Yeah, I don't really... So I always loved Jimmy Dore, and Jimmy Dore went off on an epic rant in the middle of that I really enjoyed, but I always enjoy his epic rants, even if it kind of felt out of place. So there's that. I don't know, it wasn't so bad. But to be honest, I always kind of listen to TYT when I'm doing other things. The Young Turks he's talking about, by the way. But, yeah, I like Jimmy and I like Ben. Nick, will you be going back to all of your old videos and replace their thumbnails with the new templates that you have? Yeah, I mean, I'd love to do that. I just don't have the time. But I know that I should, because it'll be better for the channel. So, one of these, maybe tomorrow even, now that you've kind of reminded me of it, amongst all the other things that I have to do, I may go ahead and do it for at least my most viewed videos. Because, which it sounds stupid, right? Like, why pile on to the ones that are already getting a lot of views? But then, they look better, more people are seeing them, more people are attracted to the channel. So that's probably what I'm going to do, at least. But by the way, guys, let me know if you're seeing on your feed a lot of like the video blinking out, because I'm seeing that. I'm seeing my video like just for a split second cut to a black screen before coming back perfectly normal. And I don't know if I'm the only one getting that or not. If I'm the only one getting it, I don't care. But if you guys are, that's concerning. Bailey, I read your question. I don't really know what you're getting at there, so I'm going to skip it, but thank you. Favorite Star Wars movie, favorite superhero movie. Favorite Star Wars movie, Empire Strikes Back. I mean, that seems like an obvious cliched answer, but it's true. It's the most compelling and suspenseful one. And favorite superhero movie, woo. Boy, I still have very fond remembrances of The Winter Soldier from that time yawn on 3 years ago, or 2 years ago. No, but I do think that's probably the best one. Winter Soldier's really great. Is there a better one? I like Civil War a lot, but I don't know. I wasn't as compelled by it as Winter Soldier. It felt like a tighter story. It felt like a Jason Bourne movie. Hey, Nick, got a question about Scythe. After a few plays, I realized that the white faction, Polania, seems too strong with the ability to attack without worrying about losing popularity. Yeah, that's true. In your plays, did you discover any ways to counter this? Well, I do know that I remember specifically the very first time that we played it, the person who got that faction was like, oh yeah, I'm going to wreck everything. And they ended up losing. And it didn't seem to matter all that much. I don't know. I think it kind of depends. A lot of the game is dependent on what goals you get, your objectives, because I mean, like the white faction combined with the objective where you're trying to, isn't there like an objective where about attacking, something like that? Anyways, the point is, it kind of depends on the game state, because I also played a game of Scythe where people attacked super rarely, and you might say in that instance that it kind of encourages the white faction, but again, losing didn't seem that awful in Scythe, losing a battle, because you just kind of got shunted back to your homeland, but you might have been able to accomplish a lot while you were out there. I don't know. But I'd be curious what other people think about that, because I did think that power was very powerful. It just didn't seem to come into play in our games very much. But that could just be nothing. Have you seen the preview of Divided cards for the new Civil War Legendary? Magic the Gathering used the idea previously, apparently. I have not. Is it like the two cards? It's like in Magic they used to have spells that were two different spells, and when you cast it, you determined which part of the spell you wanted to use. I'll check that out. Had a really emotional Brexit day. Really hope this is not a primer for Trump. In any case, funniest meme or comedic, insightful stuff from the whole thing. Yeah, someone tweeted a bunch of countries that will be following Brexit, and I'll butcher them, so I'm not even going to try. But look that up because it's very funny. And someone posted a picture of that looked like the epitomous scene on of Planet of the Apes, where instead of the Statue of Liberty, it's Big Ben. That was pretty amusing to me. And this is like, as someone on, I think from the New York Times described it, this is definitely gallows humor, okay? We can have a good time with it. And I thought about this a lot, too. We can make funny tweets and Facebook posts about it, because it's not an in-your-face tragedy the same way that the Orlando shooting was. In the Orlando shooting, there's 49 dead people. It's horrendous. You see these images on your screen. You see the family members. You see their friends, and your heart feels like it got ripped out. But with Brexit, you know inherently that it's awful, but you can't see that right now. All you can see is just this nebulous thing and the rhetoric that people are spewing, and on both sides. And we don't know the ramifications yet, the personal costs, but there will be. And it may not be as tragic as 49 people getting gunned down. I'm not trying to conflate the two, but I'm saying that it may have wide-spanning ramifications that we're not aware of yet. So it's easier for us to joke about it. It wouldn't be a Q&A if I wasn't sneezing. Excuse me. I was doing so well for a while too. Let's see. How do you feel about the Bravest Warriors dice game at Cryptozoic? What would you say is the worst game at Cryptozoic? I think it's pretty awful. I have it. I never bothered to review it, even though I like Bravest Warriors, the cartoon, a lot, or I did. I haven't watched it in a while. I don't know if that's their worst game. I don't know. I haven't played a lot of truly wretched games from Cryptozoic, despite the reputation they seem to have. Someone will probably remind me, but there's definitely been some bad ones. Is there a game that's out of print that you think deserves a reprint? I can't think of too many off the top of my head. I'm still curious what like Necromunda was like from Games Workshop. Now that maybe they'll reprint that eventually, that'd be cool. So, have you tried several of the newest Games Workshop games, or what's your overall view of their attempt at re-entering the board gaming world as publishers? Well, so far, kind of good. I mean, Assassinorum Execution Force wasn't terrible. I just felt there was no replay value to it. I like Warhammer Quest Silver Tower quite a bit. I haven't had a chance to play Lost Patrol or the new Horus Heresy Betrayal at Calth Games, or what's the other one? The one that came out right after that. I can't remember. But yeah, I mean, they look very interesting. They got good reviews. I think they're doing well so far. But whether that's not going to change anyone's mind about Games Workshop. People still hate them. Marvel Legendary with Golden and Silver Age characters using that era's art. Now, that would be cool. Do you think that could work? So, I would get it, and it might work, and I'm sure that a lot of people like you would really enjoy it. I don't like that artwork. I don't like the kind of faux Golden Age artwork they did for the Captain America 1941 character from the Captain America Anniversary set. I don't like that style. I'm into modern comic book art. So, it would work. People would get it, but I don't think that they should do it for all of them. I watched The Next Generation this year, and while it doesn't stand up to the previous watch, it's still the best Star Trek and in the top 3 science fiction shows. Yeah, that's kind of where I think I'd fall down on it. I'd probably try and avoid the first season, though. Which do you prefer, Star Wars or Star Trek, and why? Overall, I might still have to say Star Trek, just because I always find it very difficult to compare the two, because you're comparing a series of movies, which even now, I know there's extended universe, but take that out of the mix because no one cares about that stuff. It's not even canon anymore. But if there's 9, well, there will be 9 movies. There's now 7 movies, but that's compared to, like, I think Star Trek had 9 movies on top of 5 or 6 different series, and now they're making another one, and then a rebooted set of movies. It's hard to compare the two. So by volume of stuff, you'd have to say Star Trek. And I think Star Trek, despite having a lot of low points, has also had a lot of really high points. And I just think it's to me, it's a bit more compelling. Now, having said that, I would take probably any of the original trilogy or Force Awakens, that one of their movies, against any of the Star Trek movies or any maybe individual Trek series, because it is more my speed. Space Wizards, essentially. They're fantasy movies. They're not really hard science fiction. But that's the thing. It kind of amuses me when people get into big debates about it, because it's just not that comparable. Is Zombicide overhyped due strictly to the miniatures, or is there a good game there with replayability? Which of the 3 versions has the best rule set? Zombicide Black Plague, I think, has the best rule set, although there's not a lot that's different about it. However, I would say, yeah, it's a bit overhyped. So we just played it again because I wanted to review Wolfsburg, right? I wanted to try all the new expansion stuff. And as you notice in my review of Wolfsburg, if you watched it, I was a little bit cool on it because it just didn't seem to add anything that great and wonderful. And the fact is, I played it again, and I'm like, this is part of why I got out of the original Zombicide to begin with. It's a fine game, but every game does feel very, very similar. You might have to get objectives in one, or you might have to just like make it across the map in another one, but other than that, the gameplay stays the same. It is a bit overhyped. It's definitely not the greatest game ever, and it's not even now with Black Plague, it might slip into my top 100 again, but it's not going to be very high because it's just it's not an amazing game. It's just a solid game with great visuals and a great theme. And I think that's where it's going to come down. But yeah, I mean, people get it for the miniatures. People like collecting it. It's a collector's game at this point. What's your go-to party game? If I'm really narrowing the definition of party, I think at this point, Spyfall. I mean, I don't know. The top 3 might be Spyfall, Cards Against Humanity, and Concept at this point. Being a nerd, I like to invest in Kickstarter games that I enjoy. I want to get your opinion on some of them. Kill Dr. Lucky, Cthulhu Wars, Onslaught, and Joking Hazard. I have no interest in Kill Dr. Lucky. The card game, I assume you mean, because that's the newest one. I played the original Kill Dr. Lucky, and rather than have no interest in it, I can tell you definitively that I despised it. It was awful. The card game might be fine. I don't know, but I have no interest in trying it. Cthulhu Wars Onslaught, which I think was the new expansion for Cthulhu Wars. I thought Cthulhu Wars was fine, but I'm not willing to pay the money for it. It's just not good enough for me to revisit it. And Joking Hazard I actually did back on Kickstarter because it was rather affordable, and I thought the premise of the game seemed very funny. But I have no inside knowledge as to whether or not it actually translates into a very good game. I'm taking a gamble the way everyone else is. Sorry, I know I rubbed my nose and it's gross. Zahander Strauss, do you have a second part to that comment? We'll come back to that. It seems like you're about to pick apart my argument about Brexit, but you left off the actual question or point. Sounds like the country I live in, old school money, old school ways. I swear this place would be horse and buggy if it could. Well, yeah. That's the big complaint about conservatism over in this country is that they want us to go back to a time before we had all our cool stuff. Have you played Tyrants of the Underdark? If not, are you excited to? I have not. It looks like some people at Origins were able to get copies of it. I have not played it. I'll have to play it with the rest of you. But I am excited to play it. Do you enjoy any board game conversions to iPad devices? If so, why? If not, why not? Yeah, I will give you the best example of that recently, and that is Pathfinder Adventure card game, which replaces the original Pathfinder Adventure card game, the actual physical version. Because Pathfinder Adventure card game is a fine game, but it has too much stuff. There's too much setup involved. It's too aggravating to play it on a regular basis, to reset the game and play again, because it is easy to lose in that game. Yeah, I think that game is perfect as an app game, or close to perfect at least, and replaces the original for me completely. That's the best example I can think of, Eric. Which is your most viewed video? I believe it is still my Gen Con top 10 from last year, my top 10 anticipated games of Gen Con, which is in like 40,000s or 50,000. So not a very wide amount of views if you look at things from like other channels that have like millions of views. But yeah, that's probably one of my most viewed. And then like second or third place is, interestingly enough, is Adventure Time Card Wars, which was a negative review. I didn't really like that game that much. And Plants vs. Zombie Risk. People love that video for some reason. Which video do you feel is your best so far? Oh, I don't know. I don't like to talk up my videos that much. Because I'm always shocked what hits and what doesn't. I mean, people really loved my Scythe review. I got very few, if at all, negative comments about it. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't like my final thoughts. I thought my final thoughts were too rushed and kind of all over the place. I don't think I was as definitive and concrete as I wanted to be. But even Jamie Stegmaier liked what I said. And everyone was very happy with it. And I was like, phew, because I was thinking of reshooting it. I guess I'm glad that I didn't. So it's hard for me to tell. I let you all be the judge of that. I wonder what that blink is. It's very odd. I wonder if it's... Is it just like a loose connection? Huh. Someone is, though. Someone else is seeing it. It got worse for me. But I guess if the majority of you aren't, it's fine. I'm not sure if you've spoken on the new game that was done by Reggie Bonisse from Seasons called Dice Forge. So exciting! We thought the new thing was Legacy, but I would call card making, like Mystic Vale, Dice Forge, etc. I don't know what that means though, but I haven't looked into it, so I don't really know. Maybe that's worth looking up real quickly. Everyone's talking about this Mystic Vale game, and I'm just not that excited about it. I just have to be different and weird. Okay. I am excited about anything from that same designer. He also did, well, he did, it was Himalaya, and it became Lords of Zidit, which is a really great game. The artist is Biboon, who I really like. He did art for Zombie 15. So, yeah, so far so good. Yeah, alright. And it's not coming out until next year. Interesting. So it must be... When is that going to be then? The compulsory release date. It just says release in 2017. I wonder if it's... It looks like it's pretty far along. Do you think they'd push it all the way till Essen of next year? Probably not. Yeah, I'm excited about it. Thanks for bringing it to my attention. Now that you have updated graphics, will you be selling t-shirts? Stay tuned, Chris. Might be a while. Thoughts on Catacombs and Castles Kickstarter? Well, I was actually... Maybe I'll do that tonight. Maybe I'll finally play Catacombs the original. Then I'll let you know whether I'm excited about that one or not. Catacombs and Castles is like a new version of the game. I think it's supposed to be more entry level, but it's also compatible with the original, so people who have the original can still back it. All right, Angela, that's a very long question, but it boils down to what game did I play a lot when I first got into board gaming and then stopped, but then got back into it and really enjoyed it. I'd maybe say Dominion. Dominion I'm starting to appreciate more. I played it in the beginning. It really got me hooked on deck building, and then I moved on to other things and completely abandoned Dominion, talked smack about it, and now I'm coming back into the fold. Your description of legendary divided cards was pretty much spot on. See the BGG forum for images. Yeah, I'd like to. That's what I figured you guys were talking about. I wasn't sure. Yeah, Legendary Civil War, by the way, is very delayed. Everyone was thinking it was June, because that's what like Cool Stuff had it as for their release, but there's no way. They didn't even have their origins. So how are they going to do that? Let's take a look. Oh, that's crap, man. They have no images in the actual Legendary Civil War thing. Let's see. Boy, I know this is fascinating, guys, but I just was curious about this. I don't know. Well, that's fine. Oh, it's probably in one of those threads there. Okay, well, I'm not going to go hunting for it right now. I'll find it later. Have you ever scored a Grail game or something of that level at a thrift store? The best I ever got was I found a set of HeroScape Rise of the Valkyrie or something of the Valkyrie, the original base set. Missing some pieces, but interestingly enough, it was I was at a networking event because we're part of my boss is the head of our of one of the local Chamber of Commerce's for Coconut Creek, and we went to a networking event for the opening of a new thrift store in Coconut Creek, and while I was there eating food and sort of mingling, and it was a very small thrift store, so we're like kind of elbow to elbow. I was like, I saw HeroScape there. So after the event, I bought it and threw it into our company van. And my boss was like, "What is that? What did you do?" That's not what we were there for. And I was like, "Listen, I couldn't help it. It was like $10." Let's see. Thank you, Kristen. I just watched the anime movies Paprika, Perfect Blue, Boy and the Beast, all of which I loved. Any other suggestions? I've already seen 90% of the Ghibli movies. I really enjoyed the girl who ran through time. The girl who leapt through time. That's what it is. That's the whole point. The girl who leapt through time is very cute. There was a kind of a generic movie, but I still enjoyed it, about a Ronin samurai who saves a little boy. Oh no, what's it called? Someone maybe can help me out with that. Ronin Samurai helps a little boy who's being hunted and his little Shiba Inu dog, and the people who are hunting him, I think, they're like Chinese warriors who are taking a drug that makes them into like super soldiers, or it makes them that they can't feel pain, which makes them essentially super soldiers because they get shot with arrows and they just rip them out and keep fighting. Samurai something. It's good. It was a good movie. Other movies. Oh, Summer Wars. Excellent. Summer Wars is from the creator of Digimon, and you can see the influence in that movie. Or actually, no, I'm sorry, not the creator of Digimon. I take that back completely. He directed the original few Digimon movies, including the two that got ported over, or one of the two that made it into the American Digimon movie. And you can see the influence there. But Summer Wars has nothing to do with Digimon. It's just a really great movie with some similar themes. Why don't you review anime and manga? Because it's more time that I don't have, and also the one video I did, which is my top 10 anime list, you can still find it on my channel. It's called Optional Variants Episode 1, because I was supposed to start a new series of stuff detailing other things that I like. So I would not only do anime and manga, but it might be reviews of TV shows. I was going to review Daredevil at the time when it first came out. But the problem is, number one, it didn't do much. Like, I think it still has less than 2,000 views, okay? Even some of my videos that aren't all that popular nowadays get more than 2,000 views. So that's bad. And it's been out for like almost 2 years. No, that's not true. Maybe about a year and a half. So that's one thing, is that I have to do what's best for the channel, right? And that just didn't get a lot of attention. I thought about starting another channel just to do that and see how well it goes, but I feel like that is a genre that is firmly covered. People got that. So, I don't know. I think it's better for me just to focus on this because I'm already far behind on reviews and all this different type of stuff. Switzerland is geographically surrounded by the EU. They are doing fine. So will the UK. They will not become an outcast. Trade and life will go on, just a little bit different. Well, I understand that, Bailey. I don't disagree that life will go on. This is not the end of the world. It's not quite the like sky is falling type scenario that people have said it is. However, I still think it was a horrible mistake. I do think that it's not going to help the British economy. I think it's going to hurt it, and it was already hurting. And I think that things will get a lot worse before they start to even out and start to get a little bit better. And I'm not entirely sure that there are people who are going to let this stand. I mean, David Cameron, before he announced his resignation, he also said, "Listen, I'm not going to pull the ripcord yet and invoke, I think it was Article 50, which would actually allow people, which would actually start the process, a very long process of withdrawing from the EU." He will have to do that. Someone will have to do that, but he hasn't done it quite yet. And I think it's because they're thinking of strategies to sort of get out of this. And, who knows what's going to happen. I can never get into Zombie Fight. I found that game so boring. It's not, I don't know if it's boring. There's some suspenseful moments, but it does start to feel samey. And you see Angela, so Kingdom, in response to someone saying what was my best video, Angela says Kingdom Death was your best, absolutely. Well, Angela, I really appreciate that, and I'm happy that that has a ton of views as well. That actually might be my second or third most viewed video now that I think about it. But I wasn't necessarily happy with that either. Same thing with Side. I thought that I rambled a bit too much. I thought I should have given more concrete stuff. I always think back and was like, maybe I should have talked about the components more. But that's I am my own harshest critic. We'll say that. Would a review of a classic game, Monopoly or Clue, actually get any views? Well, I did reviews of like Firefly, Yahtzee, and Adventure Time Monopoly, and I don't think they did very well. So I did try that. Angela, I'm not sure what the context of your statement is, so I'm not gonna say it at the risk of inciting. As someone who loves superheroes, what do you think of Cryptozoic's Mighty Meeples? I'm not even sure I've heard of that. Is that a new one, or is it already out? Let's take a look. I think it looks terrible. I hate meeples, and those look like the worst meeples ever. I do not like them. Oh well. I don't like meeples in general. I told my artist specifically no meeples. I hate people who try to fix meeples into their name and just put it in all of their artwork. I don't want meeple shirts. I don't want meeple plushy toys. I think it's terrible. Which game do you think could benefit most from a new expansion? Well, that's an easy one. Lost Legends! It's a game everyone's completely forgotten about, but I still am holding on to it with the hope that there will be something for it, but I think I'm going to have to give up that hope soon. Lost Legends was a card drafting game that mixed sort of adventuring, dungeon crawling with card drafting, where you're each of an adventurer and you're going down from level to level through this dungeon, drafting equipment and spells before having to deal with the monsters that are in front of you. Very difficult, very brutal game. But very fun. It just needed an expansion because there's barely enough content in the box as it is, and I don't think it's ever going to happen. Have you ever stripped components from one game to use in another? No, not really. Sometimes I'll proxy in miniatures from something else if I don't feel like putting together the miniatures for something. Did you enjoy Castle Panic and its expansion? Did you have plans to look at Star Trek Panic? Well, I actually have Star Trek Panic sitting over on my table right now. I may play it tonight, I may not. Not sure. I played the original Castle Panic without the expansion. I heard the expansion makes it much, much better. I just thought the original Castle Panic was But again, I think most people had that opinion, and they played it with the expansion, and it got a lot better. So, I am curious about Star Trek Panic, though. That's why I got it. Have you tried Star Trek Frontiers? No. I know that there's another reviewer named Marnado is like his screen name or something like that, or I think his real name was like Marco Wargame, or no, maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I forget what it is, Marnado or something like that. Anyways, he has a channel, and he had an advanced copy of that. So I know people are sort of reviewing it out in the wind. Probably the Dice Tower has by now at this point, but I have not. Have you ever watched Toradora? I watched a couple of episodes of it. It seemed interesting. That's not typically my style of anime that I like, but I might revisit it at some point. Sword and the Stranger! Thank you! Sword of the Stranger. Yes, that's what it is. I liked that movie. You saw it yesterday. Wow, that's a coincidence. Okay, thank you for the link, Darthed. I will check that out now. Why not? Why not? Because I'm in the middle of a Q&A. But I'll do it anyways, because it's my Q&A and I do what I want. Whatever, I do what I want. I want to see these divided cards. Oh, interesting. It makes sense for Cloak and Dagger. Huh. I don't know about all this. It's an interesting concept. Yeah, they have Storm and Black Panther and Cloak and Dagger. That makes sense for those two. Or those four. But, I don't know. Should they be going to that well so soon? I feel like there's a lot of other ways they could go with the game before they have to resort to that kind of stuff. $7.13 from GTS. July 13th for Civil War from GTS. Damn. Well, at least it's hopefully before Gen Con. How's Game Purgatory looking now? Still awful. Just doesn't look as bad because I've moved so many things to a storage unit. Maybe you start a Beagle channel? I could probably do that. I had more adventures with my dog. I was going to post on Facebook. I just didn't have the time. Where like we went to the dog park, but on the way to the dog park, like in the park, on the road, but before we got to the actual dog park section, we were still in the car, there was a turtle crossing the road. So we got out of the car. I pulled off to the side at like these parking spaces near the lake, and Bugbear and I got out, and she loves the park. She loves being in the park. So she's already bonkers. She's going crazy. She can't wait to get to the park. And because I say the word park, and saying it right now, she's probably perked her ears up and is looking at me, wondering if we're going. But we're there, and the turtle was crossing the road. Now, the turtle had already crossed the road successfully, so it wasn't in danger of getting hit by that point. However, it crossed the road to the side where... sounds like I'm about to make a bad joke. It crossed the road to the side where all there was some grass, some like pounds of dirt, some mounds of dirt, and a fence that separated the park from the interstate. Like the Interstate 95 was literally right on the other side of that fence, just like another 20 feet away from the fence. And so the turtle was either going to find its way through the fence and then immediately get creamed as soon as it went onto 95, or it was going to just get stuck over there and either just die over there because it was out of the water. Well, I mean, it could be out of the water, but not indefinitely, I would think. Or it would try to go back across the street, back to where it came from, and it still might get hit. So I'm like, screw this. I'm going to pull over. I'm going to grab the turtle. I'm going to take it back to the little pond where it probably came from. At least it'll be better over there. So I did that. Bugbear and I ran over, and we're having to look for it because at that point it was moving pretty quickly, and I couldn't find it. It was back behind all this like bushes and mounds of dirt. So I'm looking for it, and while we're looking for it, it's kind of camouflaging in very well. We hear this Bugbear and I hear this loud rustling. Bugbear's like immediately on alert, looking around. And I'm like, what is that? That can't be the turtle, right? It's like way too much noise. And we see that there's a bunch of trees and bushes that are lined up on either side of the fence. And amongst the bushes on the other side, a family of raccoons. And so there's like, I counted at least 4 different ones, but there's probably more. Raccoons get into big families. And there were some that were on the trees, like hanging, like clinging to the side of the tree, looking down at Bugbear. Some of them were on the ground, sort of hiding in the bushes, fearful. Bugbear sees them finally and is flipping out. She's freaking out. She's like, her hackles are up. She's like, what are you weird-looking dogs? And she's having none of it, right? And I'm still trying to find the turtle, but I'm also fascinated by her reactions to the raccoons. So I finally find the turtle, and it's the size of a football. And I have to hold Bugbear in one hand and try to pull her back from the fence from where the raccoons are. And I've got the turtle in my other hand. And so we have to walk back to the street with the turtle. I have to watch out for traffic on the park road. And Bugbear sees the turtle in my hand and knows that it's an animal. She knows that it's some sort of weird armored cat. And she wants it desperately, so she's jumping up. We're in the middle of the street, and she's jumping on me trying to get to the turtle because she sees me holding it in my hand. And I'm telling her, no, go, you idiot. And then we're in the road. And so we finally walk back to the pond across the street, and I deliver it. And Bugbear pees on the hill next to it just for good measure. And then we go. So that was our adventure yesterday. And then this morning, she chased a new stray cat in our neighborhood up a tree. And I actually think I have to go check now, because do cats actually get stuck in trees? I'm kind of worried about that. I might have to go and rescue this stray. So Bugbear is always having adventures with the wildlife. Any thoughts on Ascension X? I don't know anything about it. Is that a new set of actual Ascension, the card game? Well, look at that. New dual-class heroes and constructs require players to use both resources to acquire them, but have incredible power. As a balance between light and dark shifts, cards gain additional powers depending on whether it is night or day. Playable as a standalone 1 to 4 player game or combinable with the other Ascension expansions. Ah, boy. I keep wanting to just, like, quit Ascension completely, and they keep dragging me back in. Damn it. But again, I actually think that Ascension is probably better as the app, too. Oh, I see. You're making some sort of weird metaphor. of Kingdom Death being a knife. I got you. What's that picture on the wall by the window? So the picture that's actually my big, like, sliding door windows. That is a picture of a beagle. It's a painting of a beagle that my ex got for me. So it's been there for a long time. It's not like specifically Bugbear, but it's the same tricolor type of beagle. And then the 2 other paintings you can see are just my general paintings that I got from like art.com a long time ago. Although you can actually see them in more detail on like my old whatever that dumb segment I did for Board Game Blender was. Have you ever packed games to take on a trip? Yeah, not very well. I remember when I went to Dice Tower Con, I just loaded my trunk full of games, and some of them actually got ruined because of it. I would love to see you do a weekly video of thoughts about comics, anime, TV, and movies. Why not? I know it's work. Keep it short and sweet. If you like it, it won't be a chore. All right, Mark. That's a valid thing. Maybe I can just do a quick segment about like stuff that I like in media. I'll think about that. Maybe I come at it from an interesting angle. Thoughts on Legendary? Yes, it's Marco Wargamer. That's his name. But he has another name on BGG, and that's what's confusing me. It's like Marnado, I think, right? Am I thinking? Are they different people? Like his channel, I think it's called Marco Wargamer, but then his BGG account is called something else. But maybe I'm wrong. Thoughts on Legendary Big Trouble in Little China? It's legendary, so I'm interested and excited about it, but it's supposed to be based directly off of the Marvel Legendary system. And I asked this question on Board Game Geek and still haven't gotten a satisfactory answer from anyone official. Does that mean that they are completely compatible? Because technically speaking, you were supposed to be able to combine elements from the Encounters games, Legendary Predator and Legendary Alien, together with Legendary Marvel. It was just an awkward fit. But since Big Trouble in Little China is directly based off of the original Legendary system, does that mean they're completely compatible? Meaning I can literally just throw them into the mix. I hope so. And I still find it incredibly questionable that they're making an entire set off of one movie, but whatever. Just out of curiosity, does Upper Deck send you Legendary expansions for a review? No, they do not. So I approached the guy who's in charge of that, who's like their lead. He's not their lead designer, but he's like their lead promotions, marketing, and development guy. I think his name is Jason Brennan. I approached him about getting review copies before Gen Con of last year, and putting me on their reviewer list, and he did allow a friend of mine to pick up a couple of copies for review by going there and asking nicely, essentially. But I don't know. He's very he didn't like doing that. Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. Like he gave me like an ultimatum, like I better see those reviews quickly afterwards or something like that. And then I never heard from him again. And I did put the reviews up very quickly for Predator and for at the time it was Secret Wars Volume 1. And they're very overwhelmingly positive reviews. They're very highly viewed on my channel. I think they did very, very well for everyone involved. And I never heard from him again. I don't even know if he has a reviewer list. I always seem to be able to scoop Vassal on those, which makes me think that maybe no one gets review copies, but I might be wrong on that. I'm sure a couple people do. It's very odd. You would think so. Like I am the number one cheerleader for that system amongst reviewers. Probably even more so than the Dice Tower, and they get tons of views. But they don't want to do it. Maybe they have a personal beef with me or something. It's possible. I wouldn't put anything out of the realm of possibility. I love your BB stories. Do you talk to Bugbear out loud when you're alone with her? Of course I do. Like verbose talking? I don't know about that. Occasionally I'll be just talking to myself anyways, and I'll direct it in her direction. Yes, I'm a little bit insane. If a cat can climb up, it can climb down. It's no need to worry. I thought that. I thought, like, well, it got up there. It's not going to fall to its death. I'll assume that it's okay. It's very funny, too, because Bugbear has the same reaction to cats all the time. Because there's another stray that actually my neighbors kind of adopted for the most part. Like, it comes into her house. I don't know how that whole thing's working. But that stray has been around for a long time, at least as long as I've lived here. And Bugbear is very familiar with it, and we've cornered it several times. And Bugbear, like, will go crazy at the window if she sees it outside. Like, her hair will go up, and she'll start slamming into the window, like, you gotta get to that cat. But in reality, when we do actually corner it on our walks, and Bugbear has the opportunity to chase it and grab it, Bugbear actually acts scared. She'll circle around it, like, several feet away, like a very healthy distance away from where the cat is. The cat will be sitting there, like, arching its back and, like, just staring at Bugbear, and Bugbear will not get that close to it. And as soon as she does, if the cat hisses at her, Bugbear will immediately jump back. And it's almost like she's really actually scared of the cat, and it's just like, hey, I did my job. I was supposed to bring you to the cat. Now you do it. You grab it. And so she did the same thing with this new cat, although, and this cat was immediately, like, arching its back, trying to make itself look bigger. At some point, I guess Bugbear just got pissed off and was tired of waiting, and she actually... so we're sitting there, we're having this little, like, a standoff, and Bugbear's circling around, and again, and walking around, the cat's just watching it, Bugbear move carefully, and then all of a sudden Bugbear was like, woof, and jumped forward a little bit towards the cat, and the cat went, and went right up the tree. And that was that. I've seen a deck builder with 3 currencies. It looked like too many. How many do you think would be too many? 3 might be too much. Depends on how it's handled. So, like, in the last Ascension set, which was Dreamscape, since we're talking about Ascension, they still have the runes and the power or combat. Then they added like the dream tokens, and it seemed okay. It seemed to work all right because it wasn't like this overwhelming thing. Although it kind of was. I mean, that was the whole game. What's another example of one that has done that? I don't know. I can't think of any off the top of my head. What's the one that you played? Yeah, okay, so his full name is Marco Arnaudo, and that's why his BGG name is like Mardado. Okay, cool. M. Arnaudo. Are you still playing Silver Tower? It's currently my favorite dungeon crawler. Well, as much as I play anything. I played it like one more time after I did the review, and that was that. So, but I'll get back to it eventually. It's on my shelf. I'm keeping it. Mage Knight board game is about to see a reprint late this month. Do you think they will fix all issues of past prints so they are consistent altogether now? I hope not, because I traded for another copy of it a few months ago. Superhero TV shows wrap up? You mean like as a video series? Maybe. That's not a bad idea, because now we're going to be getting into a point where there's going to be... That's actually a pretty good idea, Chris. Because that is a huge part of my TV viewing when fall rolls around up and through spring. And there's going to be 4 of them on the CW alone, plus Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., plus Luke Cage is going to come out in the fall, right? I could definitely see myself doing that. That would be interesting. Huh. Make sure to remind me of that. What upcoming 2016 solo co-op games are you looking forward to? The Martian version of Robinson Crusoe seems interesting. The new Legendary set, although that's just an expansion. New Super Dungeon Explorer might be coming out this year. I have to disagree on cats and trees. Cats can and do get stuck in a tree. Alright, well, maybe I'll have to go and check. I'll walk BB again, so that would be my time to check. I have to think Vassal gets review copies of Legendary, but he just doesn't prioritize them when they come in. Upper Deck is always posting links to the Discriminating Gamers reviews on their Facebook page. Well, that's pretty clearly then a sign that Upper Deck doesn't like me very much. Especially if it's the Discriminating Gamers reviews, because... Anyways, what did you think of the games released at Origins? What were your overall impressions of them? It didn't seem like there was that many that I was like genuinely that interested in. It seemed pretty I can't really think of any that were like overwhelmingly. That's why I didn't do like a top 10 anticipated games of Origins. But oh well. And finally, we're going to go ahead and make this the last question because we're slightly over time anyways. Is Mars the new Cthulhu? It seems to be a lot of Mars games these days. There does seem to be a lot of Mars games, but we're not anywhere near that point yet. We'll see. I think pirates are starting to become a little bit too ubiquitous. Alright, finally. Okay, this is the last question, I swear. Will you watch, when you watch anime, do you prefer English dubbed or non-dubbed anime? If you prefer dubs, will you not watch subbed videos? I prefer subbed. There's been very, very, very few English dubbed anime that I can watch and enjoy. Death Note, Code Geass, Bandai did a really good job with dubs. That's the thing. They both did that. What's the other one? Cowboy Bebop. Yeah, those were all Bandai, I think. Bandai was really good at dubs for a while. Those I actually prefer in English. But other than that, all subs is what I very, very, very much prefer. But, okay. All right, we're going to call it there. I think I caught up with all the questions anyways. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to go see if there's a cat stuck in the tree that I might have to go and rescue. And other than that, that's that. So thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it, guys. If you're in Britain, hang in there. And I will see you next week. Ta-ta. Have a fantastic weekend. Take care.